Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Warhammer 40k Kill Team for the channel, and this series is available first to channel members. So hello channel members, hope you enjoy, and to everyone else who will eventually see this, hello to you as well. We're back on Vulcus. I think this is layout 3, it's 3 or 6, whichever one. And today the Mandrakes are making their debut going up against the Ork Kommandos, who we've seen once before at this point I believe. So let's talk about the Mandrakes, the Drukhari spooky boys, I don't really know, but they have a similar problem to the Vesper Stingwinds in that at a glance it can be hard to tell apart which ones are the specialists and which ones are just your normal warriors. I have the cheat codes for you, however. The more green glowiness on them, the more important they are, and if they have something weird in their hair, like their hair's held up in a bun or something rather than just flowing, that's one of your special guys. So front row, starting with left to right, we have the Night Fiend, who is the leader, and then we have the Chooser of the Flesh. He's got a big old greatsword, so he stands out. Then we have the Abyssal, which is the one with the longest kind of casting. That's they throw balefire at people. Then we have the Dire Maw. He's probably the most normal looking, but yeah, the hair bun is the giveaway there. Then we have the Shade Weaver. He stands out the most. He can do a better version of a mechanic they have where they can travel across the map using shadow, but we can cover that as and when it happens. And then in the back row we have 4 Mandrake warriors. They're standard dudes. If you buy the Kill Team box of them, you actually have an extra one sitting in case you want to lose one of the specialists and just have a 5th warrior instead. So as not to front load this with all their mechanics, which will just confuse things, we'll just cover it as it happens. But they have one rule that just seems designed to exist to confuse things, called Soul Strike. Most of their weapons have it. Not all of them though, but most of their weapons have the special rule called Soul Strike, which changes the way saving throws work. So yeah, we'll cover that once it happens so as not to bog down the top of the video. In terms of equipment, they are bringing Bone Darts, which is a ranged attack that once per turning point one of them can use. It is something they can also do from conceal because it has silent. They are bringing a Soul Gem, we'll cover that if it does something. They're bringing a Heavy Barricade and 2 Light Barricades. And here is the Orky Horde, who by comparison are very simple since they have one singular faction rule, which is just that they can charge when they have a conceal order. So, going from left to right, front row, so camera left I'm meaning, this is the Boss Knob, then we have the Rocket Boy, we have the Comms Boy, we have the Breacher Boy, we have the Slasher Boy, then we have the Daka Boy, we have the Sniper Boy, at the back here we have the Burner Boy, and then instead of bringing the Grot and the Bomb Squig, a second Commando Boy is being brought with the standard one. So their faction equipment are all their unique ones. So it's Collapsing Stocks, once per game Harpoon, once per turn Dynamite, or vice versa. One of them is once per turn, one of them is once per game, and Choppas. So everyone who's just got their fists on their stat cards actually are equipped with Choppas. So I think that about covers everything for them. And with that, let's go take a look at the main mission. So we've got our kill op, of course, and each side have a hidden tac op that will be revealed when it tells you to reveal it. We're playing from approved opt number 5 for the crit op, which is Intel, on one of the 3 objectives. One objective marker, the active operative controls gains an intel point if you do this action for 1 AP, which is compile intel, and then it just tells you to use dice to keep track. You can't do that in the first turn, so only from turn 2 onwards. You can't do it while in control range of an enemy, and you can't do it if it's already gained an intel point during that turn. It doesn't specify from your team, so if it has any intel point, that's it done for the round. It scores at the end of the game based on the number of intel points on each of the 3 potential objectives. And if we just pan up a little bit, this map type is deployment 3 inches in at the bottom and 3 inches in at the top of the map. Objective 1 is in the middle of this rune. Objective 2 is where you can obviously see it. Objective 3 is obscured behind this bit of terrain here. It's underneath the vantage overhang part. When I show you a side view once both sides are deployed, I'll make sure to point out where Objective 3 is specifically. So with that, we're going to get set up, get ready, and be back after this quick word from my channel sponsor. This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks. And with that said, we are back, and you can basically see where the Mandrakes have deployed. They're all in a line, just split up by the kind of no man's land here. They have set up their heavy barricade within 2 inches of deployment, so it's right smack dab there. They're 2 small barricades. You can see one to the right of your screen here, and I think you can just about make out the other one over here. So again, those are set up just within your territory. I'll show you the Orc side in a second after we cover the scouting step. Orcs chose equip. They took ladders. Mandrakes took a free ploy for the first strategic phase, so equip beats ploy, so the Orcs will be going first in turn 1. But the strategy ploy they have opted to use for free at the cost of no command points is called Glooming Shroud. So this is whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Mandrake operative that's within shadow, you can retain one of your defense dice as a normal success without rolling it, in addition to any cover saves, assuming you were, you were within the cover to get a cover save. To be classified as within shadow, we'll cover that quick because it actually matters for quite a lot of their mechanics, including improving their save. They're all 5+ saves, but if they're within shadow, it becomes 4+. So within shadow, they count as within shadow if any of the following are true. They're within 1 inch of heavy terrain that's not lower than it. Any part of its base is underneath vantage terrain, i.e. underneath these platforms, this platform, that platform, etc. Or a shadow portal marker is within its control range, which is a thing the Shadow Weaver can do, which is him down there. Once per turn, usually one of them is allowed to teleport with some stipulations. He can make it so everybody can teleport, and we'll probably be seeing that. So we've come to the Orky side of the table. However, I also forgot to mention, not just are the Mandrakes saves improved by 1 if their classes within shadow, they're also immune to piercing. Try and remember that, again, first time on the channel, so bear with us as we try and learn a new faction. Anyway, the Kommandos, you can see where they've all deployed. Right at the top of the table there is the Preacher Boy and the War Boss, who might not be quite visible, or the Boss Knob I should say. But the important part is where they've set up their ladders. One ladder has been set up there, one ladder has been set up there. There's no door there, it's on this side of the building. So for the Sniper Boy, the Rocket Boys there, one of the normal boys, and the Gunner, they're all there. They could make use of that ladder. There's no terrain to hide behind on top of there, but it would certainly give them good eyes over the centre of the table. So, I think that covers that, and with that, let's jump into turning point 1 with the Kommandos going first. The Commando Boss Knob got the game started. He's the only one on the Commando side with 3 APL by default instead of 2. He has an ability called Get It Done. You select a teammate within 6 or 4, whatever. He picked the Breacher Boy who was right next to him to give him an extra APL at the cost of one of his own. He then did a reposition and dash. He is on top of Objective 3, which I forgot to show off before the game started, but hey, you can see it now. It is behind this bit of terrain here. So he's standing on that. He's not within an inch of the door, so I don't think the door fight command or ability for Volkus would apply here. But it's important to have eyes on as much area as possible against Mandrakes, because the stipulation for this teleport that they can do is, well, there's quite a few stipulations to how they're allowed to do it, but the main thing is they can't be a valid target where they end up. So against the Orcs, it's actually kind of hard to work around because they have so many bodies, they have eyes everywhere. One of the Mandrake warriors got the game started for the Mandrakes, and he just ended up doing a reposition. A reposition up to here to be completely hidden from. Like, they are fairly tall, but this is taller. Good chance to just quickly talk about their basic stat lines. They're all 2 APL. They all are exceptionally quick. They move 7 inches by default. They all have a 5+ save, but again, that can be improved if they're within shadow. And the leader's got 9 wounds. The rest of them have 8 wounds. All of them have a built-in range attack, which is throwing bale fire at people, and then they also have options for close combat as well. So I think that covers it. The basic rule for the warriors, because every warrior type for each kill team has to have some fancy thing to make it worth taking them, is that whenever the warriors are within shadows, they also get +1 to the crit stat of their close combat. Over the other end of the table, the second activation of Turning Point 1 for the Kommandos was the Burner Boy, activated there, repositioned dash, and is hiding behind that bit of heavy terrain there. A second Koi activation for the Mandrakes, another of their Mandrake warriors activated, and has just repositioned up there next to the first one that moved, and isn't really doing anything else. One of the Commando Boys activated that started down here and has repositioned and used that ladder to clamber up onto that vantage up there. Could have dashed forward but has opted not to, trying to stay back where he is because of the activations that haven't happened yet for the Mandrakes further to the right here. That means they wouldn't be able to get eyes on him without climbing up. The Night Fiend, the leader of the Mandrakes, activated, still also only 2 APL, and he has done a reposition and a dash right on to objective 2 for the next round. Now from the angle where that boy ended his turn, he could absolutely, probably get an angle on him to shoot from that window up there. Still taking the chance. The Night Fiend has a couple of rules. He has one called Harrowing Whispers. If there's an enemy within 6 of him that tries to activate, you can roll a d6 in an effort to cancel that activation and force someone else to activate on the assumption there is someone else possible, otherwise it has no effect. He also has something called the Oubliex, which is when he readies, it activates, and also if he kills anybody, it activates, and when it's activated, anytime a die gets through that would do damage, you roll, and on a 5+, you ignore that damage die, and the Oubliex flips, Oubliex, however you pronounce it, gets flipped down and cancelled. So it can negate 1 die worth of damage prior to being readied again via a kill or the ready step. The Breacher Boy activated, didn't really make use of that extra APL the Boss Knob gave him. Should have given it to the Sniper Boy or the Rocket Boy probably. But either way, he's just moved up. He could have gotten right next to the Boss Knob, has opted to stay a little bit behind that heavy cover there instead and kept his conceal order. The last one of the Mandrakes activated that was on the left side of the table, at least from this camera angle, and this is the Dire Maw. Didn't quite have enough distance. Actually, he could have went around that way, but well, too late now. So he's a little special. He can scream at people. He has a horrifying scream that can go through cover. It stuns, saturate, devastating. He can also use a haunting focus as a strategic thing, which we might see in a later turn, so we'll cover it then if it happens. The Ork Comms Boy has moved up ever so slightly. He could have easily clambered into there, but he's opting not to. I think this is the Thunderdome where a big brawl is going to break out over control of objective point 1 in turning point 2, but there's no need to go for it right now because it can't be scored, so he's just sitting there, and from there he can buff next turn. Next up for the Mandrakes was the Shade Weaver. I think I called Shadow Weaver by mistake earlier, and you might notice he's no longer in the lineup he was in, and instead there is a strange marker instead. That is because he made use of the once per turning point rule called Shadow Passage. When a Mandrake operative who is within Shadow, and he was because he's within an inch of Heavy, is going to do a reposition, they can instead be removed from the kill zone and set up within Shadow in a location it can be placed with the following stipulations other than the ones already implied by being within Shadow. You have to not be within the control range of an enemy operative. You have to not be a valid target for an enemy operative, and once you teleport in this manner, you can't shoot or fight. So your turn's essentially over. So he has done that, but the way the Shade Weaver works is that he can do something called Shadow Portal. So if he's making use of Shadow Passage, he puts down a portal where he was, then he puts down the other portal at where he ends up, and ignoring the limit of once per turning point, rather, only one of them is usually allowed to do it. If any of them also want to use that Shadow Portal, they can. So all that remains now is to show where he ended up, because it was hard to find a place that fit all the stipulations. And because it's so fitting to just have it be in darkness, we're not turning on the extra light for when I'm on this end of the table, he has appeared under there. Now that is on the assumption that the control range of an operative only counts, like it doesn't count up and down, it just counts around him. Because technically he is in the control range of the Orc Boy that's up there. If they were on the same level, he would not have been able to appear there. He's on a floor down that's quite substantially lower down, so we think that is okay. If it is not, apologies, do let us know. So he is set up, he is under advantage, so he's within Shadow. He cannot be seen. The Burner Boy is not tall enough to see over this part of the wall at all. The Comms Boy cannot see over this part of the wall. He is not a valid target. Neither can the Orc Boy up there see him either. The only question is whether or not the control radius of that boy would actually stop him appearing there. So that is where he's ended up. They're really pushing for objective 1 apparently. Actually, with the light on, it kind of makes it look even cooler, because all you can see is kind of like the shadow cloak with some kind of being behind it. Anyway, the knife boy, what's he called? I've forgotten. Stabber, whatever he's called. The one with all the knives and throwing knives has moved up. He opted not to cross over though. He is just looking to brawl next turn. There's going to be a huge fight there in turning point 2. It was Slasher Boy, the one word I didn't say. A Mandrake Warrior who activated here has just repositioned up to one of the light barricades they placed and did not move any further. Opted to ignore the Shadow Portal. The sniper boy activated and has made himself a target. He clambered up the ladder, which gave him enough distance to climb up onto that outcrop at the top of the ruin there. He's in the open, he is shootable, but he's in a good position to snipe if he survives. The Chooser of the Flesh activated, and you might notice he's also gone. He opted to take the portal, so he's ended up next to the Shade Weaver. And I don't think I need to show they're literally standing next to each other. That's the guy with the big burning greatsword. The Rocket Boy follows suit, climbed up the ladder, and has ended up next to the Sniper Boy. Opted to keep his conceal order because at that angle, with how close the Night Fiend is to that bit of heavy terrain, doesn't seem like he has eyes on. You can just make out his head here or his hair here. So yeah, from that angle, even if he was right on the edge of it, I don't think he has eyes on, at least as far as we could tell. Second last activation for the Mandrakes in Turning Point 1 was the Abyssal, who was over here, opted not to take the Shadow Portal and has just moved behind the heavy cover, trying to back up his boss, who's on Objective 2. His special thing is he can do massive blasts of balefire, which is why he's got like the huge blasts charging up. He can also hand out a debuff that then lets him do extra stuff if he hits people, but no targets for now. The Daka Boy has come out of cover and made himself a very obvious target coming round there, as if to draw attention away from the rocket and the sniper waiting nearby. And the final activation for the Mandrakes, barring any counter actions, was a final Mandrake warrior who is just hiding up there behind the other one. Not close enough to be getting the benefit of that cover, but there's no one over there who can threaten them for now. And the final activation of Turning Point 1 for the Commandos was the final Ork Boy, who was behind here, and he's repositioned to just about there. It was hard to get an angle on him, but hopefully you can see him there. At the end of Turning Point 1, nobody has scored anything, no tac ops were revealed, the objectives were not scoreable, and there was no kills, so no kill op either. Both sides positioned though for a massive brawl, specifically in that ruin on the left with Objective Point 1. The middle is held by the Mandrake leader, but he's got a lot of eyes on him that could do him damage. And I think the Orcs have better control over the far right, just because there's only 2 Mandrake warriors over there. But they'll certainly try and threaten Objective 3. So, Turning Point 2 is where it all happens, where it all gets really kicked off. Let's jump into that. Here we are at the top of Turning Point 2, and the Mandrakes have won the roll-off and are going first. In terms of strategic ploys played, they're playing 2. They're playing Glooming Shroud, which we covered in the first turn. So if they're getting shot while within shadow, they can retain 1 additional save on top of any cover they're warranted. They're also spending 1 on Blade in the Dark. So each friendly Mandrake operative can perform the charge action while it has a conceal order if it starts or ends that action within shadow. So that's important, starts or ends within shadow. So that means they can keep their conceal, so if they get a kill, they might not be a valid target afterwards. I presume that's how you're to use that. The Orcs are spending 1 command point on Wah, which just means that their melee weapons have the balanced rule for this round. Because, there's probably going to be some fisticuffs, let's put it that way. Well, there's our first bit of bloodshed for the game. The Night Fiend activated, who was hiding behind this. This is one of the 2 bits of this type of terrain that comes in Volcus that is classed as heavy terrain, so he was within shadow. So he could do a charge action while having conceal, so he kept his conceal, did a charge. You can fight in conceal whether, like normally you can, you just can't charge. So he struck out, he strikes with a Husk Blade, which is 5 dice hitting on 3s, 4/6 damage, and lethal 5+ with shock. So he actually got 2 crits, 2 hits, and a miss. The Gunner, Daka Boy, normally only has his fists, but he has the Chopper upgrade, so it's 3 attacks hitting on 3 pluses with 4/5. So he got 1 miss and 2 hits. Thankfully, we don't have to yet talk about the weird Soul Strike thing. It's mostly the ranged attacks that have the Soul Strike. So, with shock, when a crit gets resolved, which it's obviously doing, for 6 damage, was it? Yes, 6 damage, good grief. It throws away a success because of the shock. The normal hit goes through for, how much is it? 4 on a chopper. Oh, which might get negated by the oubliettes. Although, hang on, we'll cover this first. Then there's nothing left for the Orc to do except take another crit in 2 hits. He's only got 10 wounds in total, and in total, the Night Fiend did, let's add that up, 20, yeah, 12 plus 8, 2 crits, 2 hits, that's 20 damage, wow. So yeah, there's no saving that with one of their firefight ploys. So, does the oubliettes save the damage though? Let's test live. That is a 2, that's probably not enough, right? Nope, it's on a 5+. So he did manage to get damage through, so that's 4 damage through to the Night Fiend. But the first casualty for the poor orcs. So something is going to trigger now, so one moment. Yeah, it was just a scratch I was thinking of that the commandos have. At best it negates a normal damage die, so 12 still would have gone through. So, oh no, sorry, not 12, 16 still would have gone through, so there was no saving him. So anyway, with his kill, confirmed kill is revealed as the tac op selected by the Mandrakes. It is revealed the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated. Whenever an enemy operative is incapacitated, before it's removed from the kill team, place your confirmed kill mission marker within its control range. It's right there, it's that orange circle. So at the end of each turning point after the first, if a friendly operative controls one of those markers, and that marker is not contested by an enemy operative and no enemy operatives are within the control range of the friendly operative, you score 1 VP or 2 if it had more than 10 wounds, but that's not going to be relevant here unless it's... oh no, it says it more than... oh sorry, it's more than 12, yeah. So it's only going to matter if it's the boss knob that died, because the rest of them have 10 wounds. And you can score a maximum of 2 VP per turning point from this tac op. So that has been revealed. Because he is only a 2 EPL model, the charge and then the fighting took up his whole turn, so he was not able to do anything with Objective 2 before he left. Having a conceal order still where he's standing might not be enough to save him from getting shot. I guess we'll see. Wow, the burner boy found a way to be really, really nasty. He repositioned here and then he just shot a blast of flame, specifically at this warrior because it has Torrent 2. So everyone within 2 inches also gets hit. You roll against each one separately. Only successful dice have been left just to keep down the number of dice. He's hitting on 2s. It's just 3/3 damage with severe. So he did aim at this one first, but we'll just go up the line. Against this one, he got a crit and 3 hits. And on the saves, they do count as within... well, these two would count within... actually, that one wouldn't because he's not within an inch. So he didn't get any saves. They're within... and the edge of this counts as heavy, so they are within shadows, so they get to retain a save automatically, and their save is improved by 1, so it's 4 pluses. He got 1 plus a crit, so that ignores that. 6 damage still gets through. Mandrakes have 8 health, so he is very badly hurt. Over here, not as bad a story. He negates a crit and a hit, and only takes 3 wounds. Could certainly be worse. Over here though, now that I realise, yeah, he is not within shadow. So he's on a 5+ save with no guarantees. So yeah, he failed his save roll entirely. So he is taking 3, 6, 9. That is 9 wounds. And that means he is out of there. And that was the dire maw. Yeah, so we're not going to get to see him screaming at anyone's face, unfortunately. But yeah, that is him out of there. Because of the size of both kill teams, I believe 2 kills are required for both. Actually, maybe not for the Mandrakes, because they're 9 wide rather than 10. Hang on, I can stretch over and see. Nope, it is 2 as well. So they're not scoring on the kill op yet. Let's see if they score on the tac op. It actually did score on the tac op. It's seek, it's overrun rather, which is a seek and destroy classification. You reveal when you first score points from this op. Once per turning point after the first, if an enemy operative is incapacitated by a friendly operative and that friendly operative is wholly within your opponent's territory, the burner boy is, when it does so, you score 1 VP. So that's them on the board for 1 victory point right there. At the end of each turning point after the first, if the total action point stat of friendly operatives that both fulfilled the above condition this turning point, regardless of whether you scored VP on it or not, and are still wholly within your territory, is 3 or more, you scored the other potential, because you can score 2 max. So, sure, so he's only got an APL of 2, so someone else would have to kill in the Mandrake's territory and be alive at the end of a turn for them to get the second point. So I absolutely made a boo-boo there because I activated the Mandrake warrior that was very close to death, is injured, so his hit stats worsened and so is his movement. And I should have just shot with him. I keep forgetting even the basic warriors, like, they don't have guns, they have magic. They're like throwing balefire. I just thought, oh no, we'll get in there and chop away even though he's got 2 wounds left. Absolutely should have just shot instead, but I didn't, so we're not doing it over. So he got in there, rolled pretty well, got, 50-50. Got a crit and a hit through, 2 misses with his worsened hit stat with that glistening blade of his. The orc, who has a chopper thanks to the extra equipment, got 2 hits and a miss, and the crit's going through and then anything kills him. So he could parry that away and then hit him, doesn't matter. So he dies, so that's giving the orcs a kill point, a victory point rather, because of the kill op, since now 2 of them are dead. That was very dumb. But because he was within shadow when he attacked, or initiated the charge or at the start of his turn. I presume this applies. That means his glistening blade does +1 crit damage. So rather than 5 wounds to the burner boy, he's actually taken 6 of his 10. So he has 4 left. So he's also injured now. But yeah, that was very dumb. Should have just tried shooting. The commandos are being very cunning. The boss knob activated. He gave 1 APL with Get It Done to the orc boy that's just out of line of sight up here. You can see his conceal marker there. So he's got 3 APL when he activates later. Then he activated the Gather Intel action on Objective 3. So that puts 1 intel point on it for the orcs. It can't have another one this turn. Doesn't score until the end of the game equal to how many intel points in total they have. So over here, the surviving Mandrake Warrior activated, and he did what the other one should have done and fired his Bale Blast, and he's within shadow. He should have taken a engage order because that's not a charge action or anything, so there, to make that possible to have fired. So Bale Blast is 4 dice hitting on 3s with 3, 4 and the special rule Soul Strike. So he got 3 normal hits with 3, 5. Sadly, there's no lethal 5+, because that would have been really, really good. And Soul Strike, it essentially makes most kill teams have a much harder time saving damage from it. In Orc's case though, because of their rubbish save, it doesn't really make much of a difference because they're all on a 5+ save, so 5s and 6s are successes with 6s being crits. Soul Strike means you have to roll equal to or lower than your APL, which means in his case his APL is 2, so 2s and 1s are a success with 1s being a crit. So he got 1 successful save and those are fails. That is not a crit thanks to Soul Strike. It would have had to have been a 1. So that's a little confusing. It's only on the range stuff almost exclusively, or actually exclusively. But that's how it works. So he only saved 1 of them. 2 normals get through, which is 6. And that is enough. That actually if he ignores 1 of them with a CP he would still live, wouldn't he? Because that would only be 3 of his 4. Well, need to make a decision. Yeah, just to be annoying, so just a scratch negates 1 normal die worth of damage, meaning only 1 gets through, so the bleeping orc lives on 1 health remaining because it does 3 damage. Well, that's annoying. He still has 1 action left. It was going to be to run over and stand next to the kill confirm token that burner boy was going to drop. He'll just stay there, I think. The commando boy that had been given 1 extra action point by the boss activated, so he did a reposition, a dash, that got him onto Objective 2, and then he used that bonus APL to gather intel, so now Objective 2 is locked out for the turn. Well, not wanting to be locked out of the crit op entirely, the Shadow... Nope, I keep on saying Shadow Weaver. It's Shade Weaver. Shade Weaver activated, repositioned, and gathered intel on Objective 1, locking it out in the Mandrake's favour, but kind of leaving him exposed. He's just within the control range, that's what that denotes. But from where that orc is, I think you can see him through the hole in the floor, unfortunately. The Shade Weaver got super lucky, so the orc boy activated and just did a little dash to the edge just to make absolutely sure he can clearly see him down there. And even with the reroll from the accurate that the Vantage imparts, he only got 1 success, and he is underneath this overhang, so he counts as within shadow, so he's getting 1 automatically retained save anyway, so that counters it out, so no damage. The Chooser of the Flesh activated and charged from down below up here. He was within shadow, so he can keep that conceal order because of the strategic ploy, and attacked with his gigantic greatsword. It is, what's it actually called? It's just called Bale Blade as well. 4 dice hitting on 3s, 5, 6 damage, brutal with lethal 5+, so he got 2 crits and a hit. That extra hit was a result of spending a command point on a reroll. He really wanted to get damage through. The Orc's dice, only the successes have been left here. It's just a chopper, so he got a crit and a hit. So the Chooser of the Flesh is sending a crit through for a mighty 6 damage of his 10 wounds. He is doing a crit back and then getting killed by the second crit. Just a scratch can't ignore crits, so there is no avoiding it. So that does a bunch of stuff. The orc dies, which means that the Mandrakes are now on the board for the kill op. They have scored 1 from the kill op, which is handy. They get a kill confirm token within his control range, so that's just going to plop there, I guess. And specifically for the Chooser of the Flesh, if he kills anyone, or if he kills them via a roll called Part Collector, which triggers if someone tries to run away from him, he gets a Soul Harvest token. When a Mandrake, or 2 if the APL of the model he killed was 3 or more, but no in this case. So he has 1 Soul Harvest token. Whenever a Mandrake activates, you can spend a Soul Harvest token to add 1 to the APL until the end of battle for that model, or to regain 2d3 wounds. Note that you can spend your Soul Harvest points even if this operative is incapacitated. So if he then dies, it doesn't matter, that Soul Harvest has still occurred. So that's neat, that's a cool mechanic that he has, and they've scored a little bit of points back. The Ork Convoy activated, jumped over here and then shot that sound weapon of his, whatever it is, into the Shade Weaver. It's a 1/0 damage weapon, so only normal hits do damage, but the crits do devastating, so true damage gets through. So he got a crit and 2 hits, so that is 2 damage through, just because of the devastating with nothing else attached. Also means 1 APL less until the end of his next activation, so he has 1 APL to play with unless he uses that Soul Harvest token, I guess. In terms of saves, 1 automatically retained for being in Shadow, and with the other 2, unfortunately, so that just counters that out, and that is 1 more damage through there. So 3 damage in total plus the stun. The Mandrake Abyssal moved from behind the heavy barricade rather than going for objective 2 since it's been claimed. Killing that burner boy. So he moved there. He's got 2 different blasts, like he's equivalent of the team heavy, I'm realising now. So he did a burn Bale Surge, 5 dice hitting on 3s with 3/4 damage, lethal 5+, and the Soul Strike roll. So you got 2 crits, 2 hits. Again, it's the Soul Strike roll, so these are successes, normal successes, negating those 2 crits get through. More than enough. That was what? That was 10? Yeah. He had 1 wound left. There was no saving him this time, and that puts down a kill confirmed token and removes the burner boy. It doesn't give another tier on the kill up yet. Have to get 1 more kill for that. This is feeling like new model syndrome because the Night Fiend just got blasted, literally. The Commando Rocket Boy activated. He dashed to the edge there to get line of sight clearly and did his aimed rocket launcher, which he's allowed to do if he's dashed. It's 6 dice hitting on 4s, 4 or 5 damage with a blast 1 inch, doesn't matter there, ceaseless, and the heavy dash only. He got 2 crits and 4 hits. The Night Fiend got a crit and a normal success, so that negates those, but that still means that that's 5 plus another 12? Yeah, that's 17, so the Oubliex isn't going to save him no matter which dice gets negated. He just got obliterated by an Orky explosion. Now, with only 9 models in total, is that a kill grade? Nope, it's 4 as well. It's weird, there's no difference between 9 model kill teams and 10. So no, not a kill grade, and doesn't contribute to their attack op either because it was in their territory, but that is a big loss there. 2 activations left for the Mandrakes now. It's the 2 warriors over this end of the table. One of them activated and has taken an engage order, moved, got clear line of sight of the boss knob who activated earlier in the round, and shot a Balefire Blast at him. Got 3 hits through. Remember, this has the Soul Strike roll, so what would have been a pretty bad save is actually okay because those 2 1s are 2 crits. So anyway, negates 2 of the successes. 1 success gets through for 3 damage of the boss knob's 14. Unless he wants to spend a CP to avoid that. And yeah, they're spending a command point to avoid that, so no damage there at all. The Breacher Boy activated, who was behind there, took an engage order, charged into that warrior, and then struck at him with that breaching thing of his. He got 2 successes through, he's on 4s, right? Yeah. Versus that is a crit because of lethal 5+ and a normal hit. So sending the crit through, it has shock, which negates this normal success. He's sending the crit through, and then he receives a normal hit back. So in total, the warrior has taken 10. So he's dead. Great. And prior to him going down, the breacher took, what was it? The crit got through, right? Yep. So yeah, he took 5. He's not within shadow, so no bonus damage. But yeah, he took 5. That's still pretty rough. That's another kill grade as well, right there. So the final Mandrake warrior has taken engage order, staying behind that light cover, and is shooting some balefire into the Breacher Boy. Got a crit and a hit. Now this is, again, it's where 1s and 2s are what they're looking for. So only a 1, which is a crit, which counters that crit, and 1 command point was spent on just a scratch to negate that. So no damage at all to the wounded Breacher Boy. Is that the last CP? No, 1 command point left. I guess that's the advantage to going second. The Sniper Boy activated, kept his conceal, and just moved to the edge to give him a wider field of view over the kind of middle down here-ish, which is currently void of threats, really. But just moving up, staying in conceal so you can eventually potentially get that concealed shot off. And there's still one more Orc to activate after that, the Slasher Boy. So a counteraction is going to happen, just got to decide what. For the counteraction, the Chooser of the Flesh moved just 2 inches. That's how much you're allowed to move if you do a reposition as a counteraction. And that's basically just to block out the top of the ladder here to stop the Slasher Boy just comfortably getting up there and contesting that kill token. He might still be able to, well, if he had to climb over that and then climb up there, I don't think he has enough movement for both. I was assuming that's what he wants to do, of course. What the Slasher Boy decided to do was hop the wall here, kept his conceal, and chuck throwing knives at the Shade Weaver instead. He can do that because they have a silent roll. His roll is actually out of line of sight, but there it is. He got a crit and a hit. He was hitting on 4s. In shadow, or within shadow, so 1 automatically retains success plus 1 better save on him, so it's a 4+ save. He got 2 normal saves, which are being used to negate the crit. You can use 2 normals to negate a critical, which means a normal hit gets through for 2 wounds, leaving him on 3. At the end of turning point 2, there's been a lot of casualties. The Mandrakes feel like they've felt the worst of it though. Things have not been going their way at all. To go over the points they've earned 1 from their confirmed kill tac-op from the marker next to the Chooser of the Flesh. He's choosing to discard that for 1 VP. And they scored 1 from the kill-op. They're 1 kill away from getting another level of that, but that's all. They're at 2. The crit-op does not pay out until the end of the game, but they do have 1 marker with 1 of their points of intel on it. The Commandos, they have 2 markers with a point of intel for them on it. Again, that doesn't pay out to the end of the game. They're at the 2nd level of the kill-op though, so that's 2 from that, and they've scored 1 from their tac-op for the kill that happened by the Burner Boy. He isn't live though on the table, and he would have needed someone else there to add up to 3 or more APL, so the 2nd potential point is not scoreable. So, as we go into turning point 3, it's 3 playing 2 in the Commandos' favour. So we find ourselves at the top of turning point 3. The Commandos have won the roll-off and will be going first. Only the Mandrakes are playing anything in the strategic phase. Glooming Shroud is being played again for 1 command point, so that's if you're within shadow, you retain 1 die automatically as a success. I think that's everything, so let the murder continue. The round got started with the comms boy firing sound waves into the brainstem of the Shade Weaver. That's the dice there. Because there's 2 crits, that's an automatic 4 damage, so from devastating, nothing to roll. So that is him dead, and that is a 3rd kill grade for the Commandos. That's 3 points in total gained from the kill-op. And for his other action, he's using a support action he has for 1 AP. He picks an operative that isn't the bomb squig within 6 and gives them 1 APL, and he's doing that to the Slasher Boy. Over the bright corner again, because the Chooser of the Flesh activated, used up that Soul Harvest token to give himself 1 extra APL, so he has 3. He did a charge, he fought, so after this he's going to have 1 APL left to potentially do intel, depending on how this goes. He got a crit and 3 hits through with that massive blade of his with Brutal, so 2 dice to block anything, but Orcs don't really block. 1 fail after Ceaseless from the Slasher Boy, and 3 successes. So that crit's getting through for 6, he's getting smacked back by the Orc for 4, and then a normal hit is getting blocked and parried away. This hit is going through for damage, so that's 2 normal hits through for damage, and then these 2 hits will kill him. Whoa, actually one of them, what is the criteria for just a scratch? Is it spammable twice? Let's go see. Fairly sure you can only use each strategic firefight ploy once per turning point, so he would need to use just a scratch twice to live through this. He could use it once, sure, negate 1 of the normal hits through, but that other one plus the crit is still 10, so it still takes him out, or I think it's 11 actually, isn't he a 5-6? Yeah, he's a 5-6, so he's not going to use it at all. Did take a hit in, but gets taken out, and that is a 2nd kill grade for the Mandrakes, and oh yeah, kill confirm token as well. And because of that soul harvest token, oh yeah, he just gained himself another soul harvest token. Anyone else can use it when they activate that one he just earned. He is putting 1 intel on here, oops, wrong die, which procs this up to 2, and now no one else can use this objective this round. So some of you might have already realised, if you're more familiar with the Commandos, the Slasher Boy is actually a 4/5, so we couldn't have played that out that way, because that means the Mandrake would have died. So we are going to retcon it slightly, that the order of operations was done in the way that actually means this outcome does happen as it should have, or thought it happened. So instead of proccing that crit first, immediately parrying away one of the 3 successes the Orc had meant he then sends one of them in for 1 load of 4 damage, and then his other one is parried away, and then the crit and the leftover hit go through and kill him. That was the smarter order. This is why you should stop and think, although I thought he was a 3/4, didn't realise he was a 4/5. So we're resolving it that way. That is the most optimal way to resolve it. It means the outcome is as we showed it, just completely missed. I'm glad I re-looked at that though, because yeah, that's why you've really got to think through like the order of operations and why parrying can be important in close combat. Finally, a dice roll didn't go the Commandos' way as the boss knob activated, charged into the Mandrake warrior over here, swung that ridiculously powerful power claw. It's a 5/7 split with brutal, hitting on 3s, appalling roll, only got 1 success through. The Mandrake on the other hand, he's lethal 5+, so that's a crit with 2 hits and a whiff. And the Orc is sending that through, obviously, which is really painful. That's 5 of his 8 wounds gone just like that. But then he hits him back pretty well for, well, the crit does 5? Yeah, the crit does 5. Then one of them is being negated with just a scratch. Yeah, just a scratch. And then that other one goes through for 4. So that's 9 of the 14 wounds of the boss knob, and he didn't manage to get the kill, which would have worked towards his tac op, so could certainly have been a lot worse. Well, we're actually staying down here because why not take advantage of that bad situation for the boss knob. The Mandrake Warrior activate. He took the soul token earned this round by the Chooser of the Flesh to recover 2d3 wounds. He recovered 5. He went back to full health, which is pretty cool. He swung, got 2 crits, didn't even bother rolling for the boss knob because one of those crits can't be blocked by just a scratch. Goes through for 5 damage rather, which is how many wounds he has left. He has no damage negation available to him. So that is him out of there, which is pretty cool. He has 1 action left. He is going to reposition down into this corridor somewhere here, so he'll be in a slightly different place next time you see him. The commando boy that's just been minding his own business in the middle of the table activated, spent 1 APL to secure the intel on objective 2, so it can't be touched this round, and then he hid behind here. So he's just hiding behind the heavy terrain there. The Mandrake Abyssal jumped the wall here so that he could fire on the comms boy. 5 dice on 3s, and it's lethal 5+, so that's 2 crits and a hit. It's got the soul strike roll, so was looking for 1s and 2s, so nothing there at all from the Orc. The 2 crits get through for 8, and their final CP is being used to just a scratch that away, so he lives on 2 wounds remaining. The Breacher boy, who has 5 wounds remaining, he's riding that line of being injured. You have to be less than half. He actually has a gun. He doesn't just have the Breacher thing, he's got a slugger. So he shot that, hitting on 4s, 8 inches maximum range rather. Got a crit and a hit. And if we pan up a little bit, you can actually see the saves. Got 2 crits on the saves, excellent. So that just completely cancels the damage. The dice are actually starting to turn a little. Final activation of the round was the Mandrake Warrior, who's only got 5 wounds left, but that is above the injured criteria as well. Just went next to this kill confirm token, took a conceal order, and is doing nothing else. The Orcs have 2 activations left, the Sniper and the Rocket Boy, and the Rocket Boy activated and unactivated. Wants to stay on that perch with good eyes on. That's going to trigger a counteraction now before the Sniper Boy takes us to the end of the round. And for that counteraction, the Bale Surge fired at the Ork Kommandos. Got 2 crits, oh, if it's visible, 2 crits because lethal 5+, only one of them needs to go through. So that is him killed. It should technically be another kill confirmed token put down there as well. And I think that's enough to go up another kill grade because that would be 6. I believe so. But we can cover that after the Sniper Boy and we can go to the scoring. Once again, the Sniper Boy is more a deterrent than an active participant, like the last time the Commandos were on the table. He's not moving, so he's just activating, unactivating, and taking us to scoring. Turning point 3 was unironically the turning point for the Mandrakes, where they made back a little bit of ground after the dice stopped being so unkind to them. One kill confirm is being removed, it's the one next to the Chooser of the Flesh. That scores them 1 VP on the TAC op. Again, crit ops aren't scoring until the end of the game. They got one of them up to 2, so did the Orcs. One of them got ignored, so it still just has 1 on it for the Orcs, but we'll cover that at the end of turning point 4. They went up to kill grade 3, so in total that is them at 5 victory points. The Commandos in this round, thanks to the whiff of the boss knob, which was a saving grace, that denied them more points on the TAC op, so they didn't get anything from the TAC op. They're up to kill grade 3 as well, and again, crit op doesn't score yet. So as it stands right now, they are at 4. So it's 5 playing 4 in the Mandrake's favour now as we go into turning point 4 to end this off. Here we are at the top of turning point 4. Only thing to discuss is the one strategy ploy being played by the Mandrakes is once again Glooming Shroud, and they are also going first. So, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. The Mandrake warrior that's been holding on down here, the one that killed the boss knob, activated, fired Balefire into the Breacher. His dice were up here, he got 3 successes through. Again, it's Soulfire, so only the one is a success, it's a crit success, meaning 2 normal hits would get through, which would be enough to kill him. So 1 of their 2 CP is being spent on just a scratch, so only 1 gets through, meaning it does 3 damage, leaving the Breacher on 2, but still getting a turn. And 1 action left for the Mandrake warrior. He is repositioning through the door here, so you lose an inch going through the door, but he's just standing on the objective so that it can't be interacted with. Time has unfortunately run out for that Mandrake warrior because positioned as he was, and it's really hard to get an angle on him. I guess we can just move this a little bit because it's riding the line. We know where it goes. There he is, to block that objective, to stop it being interacted with. The Rocket Boy, however, activated, dashed, and just could see him clear as day. So shot him in the back, got 3 hits and a crit. There's the saves, 1 automatically retained, and also his save improved by 1 because he was underneath this, so he's in shadow. And that negates 2, but still either 3 hits get through or a crit and a hit, and either way that is enough that he goes from alive to dead. He did really, really well though. And how many kills is that now? That's 6. Is that another kill grade? Is that kill grade 4? No, 7 have to die for it. So, but the Breacher Boy that lived can now just go interact on their next activation. Oof, insert the sound effect of getting hit in Minecraft here. Thought of a clever play, didn't really work out. Chooser of the Flesh activated, clambered up to here. On this little edge here with this thick bit of terrain, the Sniper Boy can't see him. But he can see the Orc that's down there that's inevitably going to go on to Objective 2 and just do the intel thing on it. He's not as good at range as he is in close combat, the Chooser of the Flesh, but he's got the basic Balefire attack, 4 dice, hitting on 3s. Oh, that's unfortunate. And that isn't worth trying to get a reroll on a single success, so yeah, that's a pretty terrible roll. Barely able to stand with his 2 wounds remaining, the Breacher Boy hobbled onto Objective 3 and did the Gather Intel, proccing it up to 2 because nobody did it last round. The Mandrake Abyssal activated, moved over here, interacted, putting this one up to 3 intel points and just ending there. Next to kill confirm, but we've got that covered down here as well. And sure enough, that boy in the middle of the map just moved on to Objective 2 and did the intel, gather intel for 1 action point. And that is it. Final activation for the Mandrakes of the game is just this warrior down here who's just unactivating next to a kill confirm, just on the off chance something happens to one of the 2 that are at kill confirm. Cover all the bases, there's nothing else he can do really. And the final activation of the entire game is just the Sniper Boy once again looking around wondering what happened. He's hearing fighting in every corner but never saw a single person, so he's just ending the game having done nothing other than aerial denial, which isn't worthless. Area denial has a huge benefit in this game. So yep, that's it. Let's go to the final scores where the crit op is finally paying out. So I didn't see this outcome coming, and for the crit op, for intel, the ones that pay out you have to control and you get points equal to the number of intel points on them. So the Mandrakes control this one, which has 3. so they score 3 there. The Orcs hold the middle, which scores them 3, and they hold the other one for 2, so they actually score a total of 5. And as far as I can tell, there's no upper limit, so that is the 5 they score. In general, they got to kill grade 3, and they only ever got 1 point from their attack op, so that takes them to 9. The Mandrakes, they scored 3 there from the crit op. They scored 1 from kill confirm, so that was a consistent 1 point scored in each of the rounds after the first. They also got to kill grade 3 as well, which means they also got to 9 victory points. So it's a draw prior to revealing primary op selections. The Mandrakes selected the kill op. So I think you round up, right? So that's 2 extra points. So that takes them to 11, because it'd be half of 3. And the Orcs picked... ooh, the attack op, which they only scored a point on. So it's actually a Mandrake victory. That's incredible. So it's 11 to 10 is the final score. We'll be back to some final thoughts. With all the bad luck that the Mandrakes had there, it was one bad action by the boss knob that cost the Orcs that game. And it was the combat that happened down here on the right, where the boss knob, with that ridiculously powerful power claw, 4 attacks hitting on 3s for 5/7 damage and brutal, so you need 2 dice to block 1. Like, that should have killed an 8 wound model. He whiffed so badly it cost them the game, because if he'd killed that warrior, not only would he then not have been killed by the warrior, obviously, but that was in the Mandrake territory, which would have paid out 1 point right there for their overrun on the attack op. The boss knob would have been alive at the end of the round in the enemy territory, and he's a 3 EPL model, so it would have scored the second, which means they would have scored, well, they still would have scored only 1 for the primary op, but that would have made back the difference, and it would have avoided the kill that gave another kill grade to the Mandrake, so that would have accounted for another point. So that action there cost them. As far as the Mandrakes go, the Chooser of the Flesh is really, really good in close combat, good grief, and you need to use him. I see that now. Get those Soul Harvest tokens and use them to try and keep your dudes alive. The Abyssal is your heavy weapons guy, essentially. I understand that now as well. He is really, really good at doing damage at range. In general, they're very, very fragile. I thought the way you're supposed to use them is just kind of like sneak up and then get that charge and then swing. Well, they don't swing super hard, with the exception of the Chooser of the Flesh and the Night Fiend, I guess, because the boss is slightly stronger than your average dude. But yeah, they're very fragile. You have to be very careful with how you use them. I can see that now. I want to use them again. I want to use them again right now. So we'll probably see them in the next video. With their weirdness with the Soul Strike thing, again, against Orcs it technically doesn't really make a difference because they're on a 5+ anyway. Against a Space Marine it doesn't make a difference because they're a 3+ save and they're 3 APL models. So elite models don't really feel the difference from Soul Strike. It's that middle spot. 4+ save models will hate that Soul Strike. I'm not sure offhand who's your like average 4+ save models. Maybe Imperial Guard? Either way, yeah, if there's anyone with a 4+ save, they're the ones who will hate that Soul Strike rule the most. Hopefully mostly done correct, obviously first time using them on the table, so definitely not ideal in a strategy point. Feel like I understand them a bit better now, having used them, hopefully mostly done correctly. Thank you for watching either way. If you want to support the channel in free ways, liking, commenting, sharing, that all helps. If you can spare a little bit extra to help keep these coming at a consistent rate, pressing the thanks button, becoming a channel member which lets you see them early, or checking out the channel sponsor via the affiliate link, all help in massive ways. Either way, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks, maybe a bit less, for the next one. Ta-ta for now.